Hello, gorgeous people, how are you? Well, today I'm talking about what's called secondary gain and how it can be the biggest impediment that we have and how it can make us lie to ourselves. I'll tell you all about it on the other side. So a while ago, I had the privilege of helping somebody who was really at stage 4 of cancer of the pancreas, and they had no option but to look for alternative ways of helping themselves. And so I had the pleasure of helping this lady. So when I started working with her, the very first question that I asked her, and this was an erroneous question, I realize now, I said to her, "Do you want to die?" And she instantly burst into tears and said, "No, I don't want to die." Right? The error that I made was I went the wrong way, and I should have asked her, "Do you want to live?" And I think I would have had a different reaction. Why? Nobody wants to die. Of course they don't. It's terrifying. You know, she was a very religious person. She was almost in a religious cult. And yet the idea of dying is like, well, I'm going to find out the truth and maybe I've been wrong. So there's a lot of worry to that. But the reason I should have asked her, did she want to live, is because although she loved doing the therapy with me and we resolved such a lot, we even did couple counselling with her husband because they had problems, and a lot of that resolution was arrived at, and that was beautiful. And I think that's what she wanted. She wanted resolution. She wanted to be able to go out, let's have a look, sorted, I suppose. However, at the same time, if I work with somebody in those circumstances, just therapy is not enough. That, you know, they're in a serious place. And so what we did was we worked on a lot of protocols that have been proven to be extremely effective for what she was suffering from. Extremely effective. And so I had my protocols, and she also had another protocol that she was using. That she was investigating. And so we started to work, and each week I would say to her, "So how are the protocols going?" And she would say, "Right, well, great, I've got everything ready and I'm going to be starting soon." And then another week would pass and I'd say, "How are you going with the protocols?" "Well, I give it a try. I felt a bit funny the first time I tried it, so I'm just going to have a few days break and then I'll go back to it." And so on it went. And in the end, she didn't do any of the protocols at all. Nothing. And what came to me was that I was aware that she really didn't want to live. She didn't want to die. Terrifying, but she didn't want to live. Because if she had wanted to live, she would have taken those protocols, right? Jump forward to the other day when I was talking with my wife, and we've been doing a lot of work with castor oil. Castor oil is incredible. You've got to take a look. I mean, it's brilliant for a lot of things. Not just skin care and hair care, but for getting rid of, there's that Australian lady doctor who she talks a lot about it, using these like poultices, and stuff like that, and it can fix all kinds of things. So my wife's got this thing that she wants to work with, and she said to me, "I'm going to start using the castor oil protocol." I said, "Oh, that's great." She said, "Well, look, I've got nothing to lose." Those words stood out to me. I've got nothing to lose. Okay? And I thought, exactly right. And quite often I've thought about this, with people who have the potential to do something to put themselves right. They're given, look, this has been shown to work. And they say, okay, and they don't do it. And I don't know why. That's what they say. I don't know, maybe, but hey, it mightn't work. You know, and I often say to them, well, what have you got to lose? And the problem is that they have got things to lose. The lady that I worked with, what she had to lose was having to live. You see, she wasn't happy. She was in a very unhappy marriage. She had had a very difficult life. And I think she just wanted peace. Yeah. I've had lots and lots of people that I've worked with where I've offered them a solution and they've chosen not to take it. Why? Because they've got something to lose. Now this, and by the way, I want to just tell you, the modern medicine today poo-poos what it calls anecdotal evidence. Anecdotal. They're just stories, right? However, we thrive on anecdotal stories. And I heard somebody who explained what an anecdotal stories about these kind of things, what it is. And they said, all right, anecdotal stories of somebody fixing themselves isn't scientific, but it shows you what's possible, right? And when you understand what the placebo effect is and how it works, and the nocebo effect also, you understand that that is so absolutely vital for people to know what's possible. So that's why anecdotal evidence is fantastic, and that's why these companies and the modern medicine, that's why they down it all the time. They do not want people to put any faith in anecdotal, because that would start them down a path that they don't want them to go down. Okay, so in the therapy world, there's a thing called secondary gain. Secondary gain, and it's the biggest stumbling block to helping somebody in therapy. What is secondary gain? Secondary gain is this. So you've got a problem, doesn't matter what it is, an illness, any kind of issue. If that issue gets taken away, then you have relief, clearly. But also you're going to lose all the benefits of that issue. Give you an example. So a woman has an issue, a debilitating issue, and she's got agoraphobia. Let's say that. She can't go out. And so because of that, it's horrible. Her life's horrible. And yet, what it means is that her whole family have to run around her and do things for her and do the shopping for her. And she gets lots of attention from her family because of a problem. Right? This is just a pretend issue, but this is very, very common. And so when you propose to the lady, hey, I can show you how to get rid of that agoraphobia, she will say yes, absolutely, because consciously she believes she wants rid of it. However, on an unconscious level, the unconscious mind is aware of how much benefit she gets from the problem. This is what's called secondary gain. When somebody has enough secondary gain, they will not get rid of the problem. They will sabotage everything that is given to them as a potential help or possibility. They'll sabotage it. Now they might do it, you'll see it in lots and lots of different ways. They will say, oh yeah, but I was reading the other day that somebody did it and nothing happened, so I'll just not do that. Okay. So when you say to somebody who's got secondary gain, well, you've got nothing to lose, it doesn't impact them because they have got lots to lose. I'll give you an example. If one of my children had a problem, right? Let's just say a problem that didn't seem to be, modern medicine couldn't resolve it. I know that I would do anything. I would try everything within the realms of safety, obviously. I would try anything to help that issue. I would try anything. It wouldn't be, I would have nothing to lose. Exactly like my wife said, well, what have I got to lose? Nothing, might as well give it a try. However, I remember talking to a gentleman whose son had some form of autism, okay? And I was doing therapy with him, and he wanted some advice because he knew of a process that was available that had lots of people had said that had tremendous results from. Tremendous results. Okay? But his wife was a doctor and she wouldn't let him do it. Right? And his son was quite heavily autistic, but she wouldn't allow him to do it. And the advice he wanted from me was, should I force it and I could end up losing my relationship, or should I just let it go? Okay? Difficult. I mean, how do you advise that? How do you advise somebody on that? However, what's going on? What is going on with a doctor who's saying no to a non-dangerous process? Why? Because she's got secondary gain. What's the secondary gain? Well, I would need to talk to her to find out. But my guess is that as a doctor, if her son saw improvement through a process that had nothing to do with modern medicine, then she would then have to question everything that she believed in. And that's too high of a price. People who are asleep at the moment, and we give them information and they can't see it and they won't see it and they get angry. Why? Because they've got too much to lose. They've got too much to lose. That they're going to lose touch with their reality, their beliefs. Everything that they thought was true would go down the shithole. So that's what secondary gain is. Secondary gain is the biggest impediment to people improving themselves. So, why am I telling you this? Just because it's good to know. And it helps us understand why people don't do things to help themselves when it's clearly obvious that this could help them. But also it helps us to look at our own lives and ask ourselves, where are we not doing something? When we know that it's good for us, when we know that it would help us, what is stopping us? Well, it'll be secondary gain. So the question you ask yourself is, so what am I getting from this that's positive? Ask any alcoholic who doesn't want to admit that they're an alcoholic. What do you get from alcohol? Apart from, they know it's damaging their lives, it's damaging the body, it's probably damaging the relationship. But when they drink alcohol, what happens? They get a chance to escape all of that. They get a chance to forget all of that. They have some peace. Okay? That's their secondary gain. And the only question you've got is, which is more powerful? Which is more powerful? You see, alcoholics, the reason that they become alcoholics, the reason that they turn to alcohol is because they've got some trauma, some awful things in their life that they haven't got over. And so that's a way of escaping. And quite often you'll find that secondary gain is more important than living. Yeah. Some people are willing to allow themselves to die so that they've got that secondary gain. Smokers, exactly the same. They know what the hell's happening, and yet they keep smoking. Why? Because the benefits of smoking outweigh the loss. And that can be life as well. You know, life is cheap. We think that, oh, we do anything to save our lives. Not the case. So the job that we've got is to look at our life and ask, where are we lying to ourselves and saying, yes, it would be lovely to stop that, but we keep doing it. And it's just because that allows us this benefit. That benefit, that secondary gain, can be worked on, but you've got to admit it first. You've got to admit it. That's the hard thing, is to admit, yeah, actually, I get more benefit from this than I do trouble. Interesting, eh? So, there you are. Secondary gain. It's a bit of a bugger. And it can ruin therapy sessions, let me tell you. I love you all, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.